unlike all of my friends, after I was done eating, I didn't throw my brown paper bag away. I packed it up nicely and I took it home, that way I could reuse my brown paper bag the next day. The real question though is, are you going to be able to become rich by being cheap? The biggest thing that differentiates a rich person from a non-rich person is not what degree you have, it's not where you work, it's not who your parents are, although these things can help, but it's not the biggest differentiator, it's what you know. Because if you have the right financial education, you will have the ability to get rich. You will have the ability to get wealthy, but if you do not have the right financial education, you will never be able to do that. So in this video, I want to go over 3 things that you need to know, that way you can build that richness for yourself. So let's jump right into it. There's a difference between wanting to become wealthy and actually wanting to become wealthy. Everybody says they want to be wealthy. I mean, who doesn't? Who doesn't want to have an extra $1 million? But if you want to actually be wealthy, then you gotta actually want to become wealthy and do the 5 things that I'm going to be talking about in this video, that we can actually become wealthy. You can really see the difference between somebody who wants to become wealthy and somebody who actually becomes wealthy by your actions. Like if you get a raise and you make an extra $1,000 a month, now what do? Well, if you just want to become wealthy and you're making this extra money, you're gonna say, ooh, well, let me celebrate a little bit right now and let me start investing later because I gotta enjoy my life right now. So you got this extra $1,000 a month and you have this plan where you wanna start investing and you wanna start building your wealth, but you kinda wanna enjoy this money right now because you only live once, right? And you're only young once. So what do? You buy yourself a nice car, you go on a nice vacation with your family, and you go to Chipotle and celebrate with some extra guac. But if you actually want to become wealthy, then what are you gonna do? You're gonna take all of this $1,000 that you're making extra and you're gonna put it towards your investments right now. That way you can achieve this wealth sooner because you understand that this is a short-term pain that you're going through. That way you can achieve that long-term financial freedom. The thing that everybody gets confused here is they assume that if you wanna become wealthy, you have to have a $100,000 a year job or $250,000 a year job or $1 million a year job. But it doesn't really work like that. There's a lot more to becoming wealthy than just having a big salary. I mean, it can help, but if you don't know how to use your money, or if you don't have the right mindset, or if you don't know how to pay yourself, or if you don't have the right patience, then it doesn't really mean anything. It's all about what's in here before you make the money. If you actually want to become wealthy, there are 5 things you need to do. Now, what you got to understand is that these 5 things are not easy. So if you're not willing to go through short-term pain, then it's not going to work for you. And if you are going to get caught up in your feelings and get triggered anytime something is hard or something goes wrong, then it's not going to work. But if you're willing to go through the short-term pain, and if you're willing to put in the sacrifice, and you follow these 5 things, then you will be able to become wealthy. The first thing you gotta do is have the right mindset about money. I bet you thought I was gonna say smash that thumbs up button below, didn't you? Having the right mindset is fitting because, you know, we are the minority mindset, which is all about having the mindset of thinking different than the majority of people. But when it comes to having the right mindset about money and building wealth, the first thing you gotta get right is understand the difference between becoming wealthy and being rich. Now, I know some of this is just syntax, but when people talk about being rich, a lot of times what they talk about is your appearance, the way you look. Having the nice cars, having the nice watches, having the nice home, that's looking rich. Being wealthy is more about being free, having the time to do whatever you want because you have the financial freedom. You can look rich and be broke. I mean, you can have a nice car, nice clothes, a nice home, go on nice vacations, but still be living paycheck to paycheck and have really no free time for yourself because you have to work your butt off in order to make the payments on all the things you have. Being wealthy is being able to live your life financially free without having to worry about the payments because you understand how to use your money, you understand how to invest your money, you understand how to grow your money, so you're able to live your life the way you want and have the time to do the things you want because you have that wealth. My goal is for you not just to have all the nice things. I mean, I want you to have the nice things that you want, but I want you to be able to afford the nice things without having to worry about the payments. That's why I want you to understand how to become wealthy. That way you can make those sacrifices today. That way you can buy all the nice things you want without worrying about the price. If you do want to learn more about the difference between being rich and being wealthy, I already made a video talking about that. So if you want to watch that, I will link it for you in the description below. The second thing when it comes to your mindset is if you want to become wealthy, you gotta stop hating the idea of becoming wealthy. I mean, we are living in this culture nowadays where it is just commonplace to hate people because they are wealthy. Why? Because they're wealthy. But if you really want to become wealthy yourself, instead of hating the person that has become wealthy, you need to be one of the people that is learning how they became wealthy. That way you can apply those strategies and techniques to your life. Hate it or love it, the reality is we live in a society where the producers are the ones who are rewarded and the consumers are the ones that pay the price. So if you really want to become wealthy, you got to understand this shift and you got to start being a producer. That way you're the one that's making money when everybody else is spending money. So if you really want to become wealthy, you got to understand that. And you got to stop hating people for becoming wealthy and understand the game and win at the game. Now, if you don't like the system, then what you should do is become wealthy and then use your wealth to give back and help other people. That's a good thing. And now you can inspire other people to do that. Okay, but if you really want to become wealthy, you got to have the right mindset, because if you hate the idea of becoming wealthy, you are never going to become wealthy. The reality of the game is the more money you have, the more you can do. If you're broke, you can sacrifice your time and you can help people. But if you have $1 million, now you can help out a whole lot of people. You can feed a lot of hungry people and you can shelter a lot of people who need shelter. If you're broke, you can't do that. Yes, you can sacrifice your time and you can serve people and you can help people, and you should. We should all have the mindset of wanting to give back and taking care of our community. That's very important. That's important to me too. But the more you have, the more you can do. So if you want to be able to help more people, you got to understand how wealth plays a part in that, because if you have the money and you have the resources, you can do a whole lot more good for yourself, your family, your community, and your surroundings. The third thing you got to understand about your mindset when it comes to money is that money is just a tool. Having money doesn't make you a good person, and it doesn't inherently make you a bad person. Having money just gives you money. Having money gives you the opportunity to send your kids to a better school. Having money gives you the opportunity to go on better vacations. Having money gives you the opportunity to buy better gifts for your spouse. Having money gives you the opportunity to feed more hungry people. Having money gives you the opportunity to drive a better car. Okay? Having money is a tool. It does not make you a better person. It does not make you a good person. It's just a tool, and you, as the owner and the holder of your money, get to decide how you get to spend that money. So you got to understand that money, it does not make you a good person. It doesn't make you a bad person. It just gives you money that you can use as a tool. And the last thing you got to understand about your mindset of money and wealth is you got to stop blaming luck for the reason why people become successful, because that's one big lie. Everybody says that, oh, this person became wealthy just because they had rich parents or because they got lucky or whatever. But the reality is that's just not true. I mean, Fidelity did a study where they looked at millionaires across the board, and what they found is that there was a portion of millionaires out there that inherited a big chunk of their wealth. But it wasn't everyone. I mean, it was only 12% of millionaires out there that inherited 10% or more of their wealth. So yeah, there is a factor of luck involved. But for 88% of millionaires out there, these are people that did not get this wealth inherited to them, or do not have rich parents. They did not grow up going to country clubs. They did not have a trust fund. These are people that created their millions themselves. Now, this is not to say that there's no luck involved in becoming successful or wealthy. There is some luck involved. But what you have to understand is that the majority of people who became wealthy, these are not people who were just given their money. These are people who worked hard and found a way to become wealthy. And what you find out is the harder you work, the luckier you become, because luck happens when hard work meets opportunity. And so the harder you work, the more prepared you will be, and the more ready you will be when the opportunities come your way. Are there some people who have the money just fall into their lap? Yes. Some people just win the genetic lottery, or some people just win the actual lottery, and some people just have the money given to them. But that's the exception to the rule. That's not the rule. The majority of people who become wealthy are people who created themselves by understanding the mindset and the 4 other things that I'm about to talk about. When you see somebody who has become wealthy, all you see is the tip of the iceberg. You see where they are now, you see the car that they're driving, and you see where they live. And it looks nice and it's easy to say that they became lucky, but what you don't see is all the sleepless nights, all the hard work that they went through, and all the kind of pain that they went through to get to where they are today. And so if you want to become lucky, you got to look a little bit deeper and look beyond just the tip of the iceberg and see what it really takes to get there. And you got to stop blaming other people for becoming wealthy and understand how you can do it yourself. The second thing you got to do is work on your income. So this is where things get a little bit tricky, because first we develop the mindset, and now once you got the mindset, you got to start earning money. Now there's a couple things you got to understand about your income. The first thing you got to understand is it's not just how much money you make, it's what you do with the money you make. But having more money can accelerate your path to becoming wealthy, and this is where you gotta make some hard decisions about yourself. If you're not happy with the amount of money that you're making, then you gotta do something about it. Look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, why are you not making the money that you deserve? Is it because you don't have enough skills, not enough degrees, or are you working a job where you're just getting underpaid? If you're not happy with the amount of money that you're making, you gotta stop complaining about it and you gotta start doing something about it. If you don't have the skills and you don't want to go back to school, or if you don't want to learn a new skill, then maybe you gotta take on a new job. Maybe you gotta learn a new side hustle. Maybe you gotta start a side business and do something to supplement your income. If you're just complaining about it and you're saying, man, I wish I made more money, I wish they would just raise my wages for doing nothing more except what you're doing right now, then you're just playing the emotional game and hoping that luck is gonna come through the door and put $1 million on your lap. If you're not happy with how much money you're making, ask yourself why and then do something about it. Depending on where you are and who you are, that might mean adding a second part-time job to your routine. And I know that's hard and it takes a lot of work, but I've been there. I went to law school full-time and I was running my business full-time, and I went to acting school in the evenings. It is long, it is hard, but it's a sacrifice that you got to be willing to put in today if you want to achieve more income. So you got to know what you want, and if you're not getting what you want, ask yourself why, and then figure out what you got to do to get the income that you want. The second thing that you got to understand when it comes to your income is that there's a lot more to becoming wealthy than just how much money you make. I'm going to talk about this in the third point, but having more income only does good if you know how to use the money that you're making. If you're just making more money to drive a better car, to live in a bigger home, you're just spreading yourself thinner, and now you have to work even harder to keep making all of your payments. So what you got to understand about your income is there's a lot more to becoming wealthy than just making a lot of money. It's what you do with the money you make. There's a reason why so many high income people, so many high income doctors, so many high paid athletes, so many people who win the lottery still live broke, because they're living paycheck to paycheck. They're making a lot of money, but they're spending all the money that they make. So you got to understand how an income plays a part in your life. Yes, having a big income can help you accelerate your path to wealth, but it can only do that if you're using your income the right way, and that's what I'm going to talk about right now with number 3. You got to pay yourself and stop spending all of your money. So Americans have an issue where when they make money, they feel like they deserve to spend this money and they deserve to have these nice things, because it's very hard for Americans to go through the short-term pain for the long-term freedom that you can get from not spending all of your money. I mean, it's just a strange culture that we live in where everybody feels like they need to have the newest iPhone, they feel like they need to have the newest laptop, they feel like they need to drive a brand new car, they feel like they need to live in a big home, they feel like they need to have all the newest things, and all these things keep costing you money, and now you look really good on Instagram and you have all these nice things, but you have no money left to pay yourself because you're playing in this game living off your feelings, where you spend money based off of what you think will feel good right now instead of what's good for your wallet long term. The vast majority of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Now, if you ask these people why, everybody will say it's because they're not making enough money. We say it's an income problem, but that's like the government talking. The government always says they're not making enough money, but we never look at how much money we're spending. There's also a spending issue. There's two sides to the coin. It's how much money you make, and it's what you do with the money you make. We can keep blaming us how much money you make, and sure, that might play a part in it, but that goes back to what I just said before. If you're not making enough money, why is it? Can you work a second job? Can you do something else? Can you learn a new skill? Can you make more money? Sure, that might play a factor, but on the second side of the coin is how are you spending your money? If you're living paycheck to paycheck and you drive a brand new car and you have AirPods and you have a brand new iPhone, then chances are there's more to this problem than just how much money you're making. You gotta look at what you're doing with the money you make. If you've been watching my videos, chances are you've heard me talk about guacamole a million times on our channel. Now, the reason I talk about it so much is because I love guac, and I have the money to afford an extra side of guac, no problem. But when I go to Chipotle, I never order an extra side of guac because it makes no sense for me to pay $3 for a small little extra side of guac when I can go to Kroger and pay $1 to get a whole avocado, and now I got 4 sides of guac for a fraction of the price. Yet people keep going to Chipotle and buying the extra guac. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, just Brit, a $3 side of guac is not the reason why people are living paycheck to paycheck. Yeah, I get that. A $3 side of guac is not the reason why you're broke, and spending $4 on a coffee is not the reason why you're broke, but it's not having the right mindset, because you're spending money on things that you should not be spending your money on right now, because right now what you need to be doing is paying yourself. Because if you're complaining about living paycheck to paycheck and not having enough money, yes, we can look at how much money you're making, and you should work on how much money you're making to work to increase that, but you also got to look at how you're spending your money. Are you spending your money on things that you don't need? Because that that's the easiest way for you to have some more money left over to start paying yourself right now is just by not spending all your money. If you look at things strictly financially, do you know how rich people get rich and how wealthy people stay wealthy? It's pretty simple. They spend less money than they have. They live like they're broke. They don't spend every dollar that they make on nice cars and clothes and shoes. They spend some money on themselves. And when I say pay yourself, what I mean by that is you're saving some of your money for an emergency and you're investing some of your money. That way your money can grow and make you more money. If you are not paying yourself, if you're not spending some of your paycheck every month to go directly into your savings account, and if you're not having some of your paycheck go directly into your investments every single month, then you are not paying yourself and you are doing yourself a disservice, because all of your money is going out making everybody else around you rich, but it is leaving you broke. The issue is we live in this culture where we all live in our feelings. Like we feel like we worked really hard, so we deserve to reward ourselves by going on this really nice vacation, and we deserve to reward ourselves by buying this really nice car or buying this watch. Now these things are nice. I want you to have a nice vacation. I want you to have a nice car. I want you to have a nice watch. But I don't want you to sacrifice yourself from paying yourself, because then you're gonna pay the price in the future. I want you to have these nice things, but I also want you to be able to afford it first. Let me let you in on a little secret. Nobody who's worth $1 million is flying on a private jet, unless you're one of those people on social media that's taking pictures on a private jet. That way you can sell more of your course on how to be rich by living your life and doing whatever it is you do. But nobody who's actually worth $1 million is flying in a private jet, because people who are actual millionaires understand what it took to become a millionaire, and they're not gonna just blow all their money on something that's not gonna help them keep their wealth and grow their wealth. You gotta stop living this Instagram flex life where you're living life just to show off your income. What you gotta do right now is live below your means and pay yourself first. That way you can use your money to build your wealth, use your money to build your savings. That way you can be free, and once you pay yourself, then you can live your life the way you want without worrying about the price. I probably should have put a trigger warning in the beginning of this video where if you're easily triggered, don't watch this video, but I did tell you that you gotta step away from your feelings in order to really do these things. So let's move on to number 4. You gotta stop the payments if you wanna become wealthy. Now look, there's 2 types of perspectives when it comes to your payments and the way you live your life. On one side, you have the Dave Ramsey approach, which is the no debt, no financing, anything approach. Whenever you wanna buy anything, you gotta buy with cash, whether it's your investments or your liabilities. No matter what you want to buy, you got to buy it cash. On the other hand, you have Robert Kiyosaki, who is essentially like finance everything, never pay for cash for anything, and then use your money to buy investments and have your investments pay for all of your stuff. Both of these options can work. Obviously, one is less risky than the other, and one is harder to achieve than the other, because now you have to afford everything in cash. But what you really got to understand now is the difference between an asset and a liability, and when are you stretching yourself thin by financing something. Because when it comes to things that are not making you any money, you should not be financing it, because when you're financing your clothes, now you're paying interest on something that is not making any money and something that is depreciating in value. So not only are you paying top dollar, you're paying interest on that, and this thing is just losing you money. Kind of like what I mentioned a minute ago, one of the easiest ways to keep more money for yourself is to stop having money leave your wallet. And one of the ways that you can do that is stop financing things and pay off the debts that you do have. That way you don't have money constantly leaving. I mean, you can think of it kind of like a cup, and at the bottom of a cup you have a hole. This hole is your payments. Now, the more debts that you have and the more payments that you have your car payment, you have your mortgage payment, you have the financing payments for your clothes, you have your furniture payments, you have your credit card payments. The more payments that you have, the more holes that you have. And now when you take your income, which in this case would be like a glass of water, and you pour it into the cup, the more holes that you have, the harder it is for the water, your money, to actually stay in this cup. So if you want to keep the money in the cup, what you got to do is you got to seal the bottom, and you got to stop having those payments. That way water can stay in your cup and it can start flowing upwards. That way now you have the money to create more income coming into your cup. So when I say stop the payments, that means 1, on all of your liabilities, the things that are not making you any money, your credit card payments, your car payments, these are things that you got to pay off quickly. That way you have less money leaving your account. Second, when it comes to buying more things, no more financing anything that does not pay you. And number 5 is you got to have patience, because you got to understand that building wealth is a marathon. It's not a sprint. This is not something that's going to happen overnight. And when you want it to happen overnight and you want it to happen quickly, you're more easily to get caught into one of those get-rich-quick schemes and falling into risky investments where now you're spending a whole bunch of money on things that are not making you any money, because when you jump into those get-rich-quick schemes, the only person you're making rich is the person selling that get-rich-quick system. Now, if you do want to accelerate your wealth, there's nothing wrong with that, but you just got to know how to do it the right way. On one hand, you got to work on earning more money. And now, as you're earning more money, you got to use more of your money to actually pay yourself. That means saving your money for emergencies and putting more money towards your investments. That way you have more money working to actually build your wealth. So if you want to do that, hey, great, work on earning more money, but understand that takes patience too. Building a business, building a side hustle, getting the raises, doing whatever you got to do to earn more money does take time. I mean, think about like building a YouTube channel. You don't build a YouTube channel overnight. These are things that take time to build. You want to build a business, it takes time to build. These are things that take years. And so if you really want to become wealthy, you got to have the patience in your mind, and you got to understand that this is not something that's going to happen tomorrow. This is something that you're working on for your lifetime. That way you can live wealthy and live free. It's not something that's going to happen next week, next month, next year. This is something that we're building for the long term. And so you got to have the patience in order to build the wealth. We're gonna jump back into the video in just a second, but before we do, I wanna tell you very briefly about Market Insiders, our investing coaching program. If you've been thinking about investing your money into the stock market, the real estate market, or the cryptocurrency market, and you're looking for some extra guidance, this is what Market Insiders was created for. It is not a class. Market Insiders is a coaching program where every week you get access to a real estate class, a stock market class, and a cryptocurrency class, which is live, led by one of our investing coaches. Our investing coaches are not investing gurus. These are real investors who've been investing for years, they've gotten great returns, and they have the money behind them. I'm talking about hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars invested themselves, and they're teaching from their experiences and their failures. That way you can learn from them every single week. Now, the cool thing about Market Insiders is you get access to more than just the weekly coaching. You get the weekly investing coaching, you get access to all of our previous recordings, you get access to our investing classes, and you also get access to our private Discord community. That way you can chat with other investors. So if you're trying to get started as an investor in the stock market, the real estate market, or the cryptocurrency market, or you're trying to figure out how you can be a better investor and get better returns, then Market Insiders is for you. That way you can get that kind of handheld coaching guidance, because now it's not just a class where you're going to be left hopeless trying to figure it out for yourself. Every week you're going to get access to stock market, real estate, and cryptocurrency coaching sessions, and it's all included. Now, if you're skeptical about all this, I get it. That's why you don't have to pay a penny today. You can try out Market Insiders for free with our 10-day trial. During the 10-day trial, you'll get access to everything. You can join the coaching calls, you can watch the previous recordings, you can attend the classes, you can go through the Discord and chat in there, you can ask your questions, and then you can see if it's right for you. If during those 10 days you realize, I hate this sucks, well, then you can quit and it's not gonna cost you a penny. But if you go through it and you say, wow, this is amazing, I'm blown away by the education, well, then you can stay. And if you decide to stay, it's not gonna cost you an arm and a leg. Market Insiders cost less than the cost of going out to eat. It costs less than $30 a month. So if you wanna try it out, I'll put the link to how you can learn more and join Market Insiders with a free trial in the description below. It was very important to me that you feel comfortable investing in your financial education. That's why I wanted to make sure that you had nothing to lose and everything to gain, which is why if you wanna learn more, you can get started with a free trial. That way you don't have to commit to spending a penny until you know if it's right for you or not. So if you want to learn more and try out Market Insiders and see if it's right for you, I'll put the link to where you can get started with your free trial in the description below. My family is from a state in India called Punjab. And when your family is from India, it is in your blood to know how to be cheap. Most people are scared to use the word cheap, but I'm an expert at it. I grew up being cheap. You're nothing but a cheap brown person who makes money telling people how to manage their money on YouTube. Thank you. Now look, I get it. There's a negative connotation around the whole idea of being cheap because many people associate being cheap with not being willing to pay for something that you got value for. That's not what I mean when I say cheap, okay? That's being dumb. I'm an entrepreneur. I cannot stand doing business with those kind of cheap people who do not want to pay for something that they got value for, or who want to buy something just to refund it. That's dumb. That's not cheap. When I say cheap, I mean you got $50 in your pocket, and instead of going out and spending this money on something that you don't need, need, you put it back in your pocket because now you want to invest this money or use it for yourself to build your wealth. Growing up, I saw firsthand that there's a lot of people in America who think they need to spend money on things that they don't actually have to spend their money on. When I was younger, one of our car's side mirrors broke and it fell off, and we took it to the car shop, and the car shop said they were going to charge $250 to put the side mirror back on the car. Now, $250 to fix a mirror is kind of a lot of money. So what did we do? We took some duct tape and we taped the side mirror back on the car. Then we found a cheap $7 mirror and we glued it on top of the broken mirror. Now you had a working side mirror for $7 instead of $250. When I was in grade school, me and all of my friends took our lunch to school in brown paper bags. But unlike all of my friends, after I was done eating, I didn't throw my brown paper bag away. I packed it up nicely and I took it home. That way I could reuse my brown paper bag the next day. There's no doubt that there's value in being cheap because you get to keep more money in your pocket. The real question though is, are you going to be able to become rich by being cheap? Let me start by defining what cheap means exactly financially. So let's assume for the purposes of this video that cheap means that you are saving 25% of your income. So for every dollar you earn, you are taking 25 cents a quarter and you're putting it aside because you are being cheap and you are going to save some of your income. If you are subscribed to our YouTube channel, you might just call this being financially smart because you are living below your means. But for the majority of Americans, this is being cheap because, well, the majority of Americans make $1 and then they spend $1.20 with the help of credit cards, lines of credit, and other financing options. By the way, if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, you should do that. So you are cheap and you save 25% of your income every time you make $1, and let's assume that you get a job when you are 21 years old, and when you're 21 you get a job that's paying, let's just say, $35,000 a year, and I am going to assume now that your job, your boss is going to automatically give you a 3% raise every single year to help you match and maybe even beat inflation. So that means when you're 22 you're going to make just over $36,000 and on and on and on. And so now you're going to save 25% of your income every single year because you are cheap. I had to get my calculator for this so I don't do it wrong. So if you save 25% of $35,000, and I'm going to assume that these numbers are after tax to keep it simple, that means when you're 21, you are going to save $8,750. Now, if you continue to do this and you continue to get a 3% raise every single year from the age of 21 until, let's say, 66, so 45 years, by the time you're 66, you're going to be making $132,000 a year. And every single year, you are going to save 25% of your income. After you're 66 and you are retired, you are going to have a bank account with $844,000 in it because you are cheap. $844,000 might make being cheap look a whole lot more attractive, but it doesn't show you the whole picture because remember, this is $844,000 you will have in 45 years in the future. It's not $844,000 you will have today in your pocket, and $1 today doesn't have the same value as $1 tomorrow. I mean, if you think about it, $100 in 1970 had way more buying power than it did today because of something called inflation. That's the same thing here. $1 today is not going to have as much power as $1 will in 45 years because of inflation. Inflation is when the value of your dollars go down and the price of living, the price of things, the price of your shopping, the price of your home, the price of everything keeps going up. That's what inflation is. So to really understand how much this $844,000 will be worth in 45 years, you have to look at something called the present value. That's a financial term. And what that essentially means is how much this future money, this $844,000 in 45 years, will be worth today. So if we look at the future value of this $844,000, it's actually only worth something like $346,000 today, assuming that inflation is 2% a year. So because you are cheap, you save a quarter of every dollar you earn from the age of 21 until the age of 66. And every year you got a 3% raise, and no matter how much money you made, you continue to save 25% of your income. When you did that, you saved $844,000 over the course of your working career, which amounts to $346,000 today. Now, $346,000 is a lot of money, and it's enough to make you look rich, but it's not enough to make you wealthy. Let me show you what I mean by that. So I just cleaned this off, and let's assume assume that right now you have $346,000 in your bank account. That's the future value of all the money you're gonna save for being cheap. Now, there's two things that you can do with this money. So let's make it option 1 and option 2. So option 1. Option 1 is you got $346,000 in your bank account and you go out and you buy yourself a nice home because you want to look rich. You buy yourself a nice car because you gotta drive a nice car, and you go on a couple, I don't know, what is that, a plane? You go, all right, let's assume that's a plane. You go on a couple nice vacations. So now you look rich, but then in 18 months or 24 months, you are going to be, B-R-O-K-E, broke. Option 2 is you do something with this money. So option 2 is now we are going to invest this money. When you invest your money, now you're putting your money to work. That way your money can go out and attract you money without you physically having to go to work to get paid. So now you got $350,000 and you want to put this money to work. That way you can make some money. And you want to make some passive income because you want to be able to live off of this money. So either you're going to put this money into dividend paying stocks, so stocks that pay you cash dividends, cash payments every year for just owning the right stocks, or you're gonna go out and you're gonna buy some real estate, because if you own some real estate, well, tenants are gonna have to pay you to live there. If you invest your money, let's assume that you can get a good 7% return on your money every single year. So for every dollar you invest, you're gonna make 7 cents in passive income. If you do that with $346,000, that means you are going to make $24,000 a year. Now, $24,000 a year in passive income is pretty good, but it's not enough to replace your current income, because if you remember, when you were 21, you were making $35,000 a year. So yeah, you're making $24,000 a year in passive income from your investment, but you're not wealthy enough to use this money to stop working and just live off of your investments. So if you go with option 1 and you spent all this money that you worked so hard saving because you were cheap, and now you go and become anti-cheap and you go and blow all your money on nice things, you will end up broke and you have nothing to show for it, minus some nice things, because now you have no money to live off of because you spent all your money that you saved. Option 2 is you invest this money, but it's not enough for you to live off of because, well, you're not making enough money to replace your income from your job. Now you could say, well, you could be even cheaper, but you really don't want to live small for your whole life because, you also want to be able to enjoy your life. This is where Indian people are wrong about money, because a lot of Indian people look at financial freedom as just saving a lot of money by being cheap. But the numbers show you that being cheap isn't enough. Even if you took that whole $844,000 that I showed you, if you save 25% of your income every single year, if you took that whole $844,000 and you invested it and you got the same 7% return, you'd make something like $59,000 a year. But remember, when you were 65, 66, you were making over $130,000 a year. So you're still not making enough to replace the income that you had. So now you're 65, 66 years old and you have a big bank account because you were cheap your whole life and you feel good. But now you have to ask yourself, how do you want to live the rest of your life? Do you want to start drawing cash out of your savings account? That way you can live large, but then you're going to be broke really soon. Or do you want to invest this money, but then you have to continue being cheap and even cheaper than before because you're not making enough money to replace the income that you just had from your job? This is why being cheap alone is not the solution to your financial problems. Being cheap is a good first step. You need to know how to live below your means, but you also need to know how to expand your means. That way you can think bigger and earn more money. That way you can live the life you want without just being cheap your whole life. Well, let me actually explain what I mean with the diagram. So here, let's say you make $35,000 and you live off of 75% of what you make. If you do that, that means this is 75%. You are living off of just about $26,000 and you are saving $9,000. So this is 25% of the pie. Now, if you make $350,000 a year because you work on expanding your means, you work to make more money, you work to grow your wealth. Now, if you continue to live off of just 75% of your income because you're still cheap and you're living below your means, now you're not living off of $26,000 a year, you are living off of $260,000 a year, and you're also saving 25% of your income. And when I say saving here, I'm going to assume that we mean saving and investing your money. So now you're saving 25% of your income, which is not $9,000. Now it is $90,000. It's a lot easier to live off of $260,000 than it is to live off of $26,000. But guess what? You're still being cheap. I mean, actually, if you lived off of just $200,000, you're being even cheaper here than you are here because now you're living below 75% of your income. So when you focus on expanding your means, it becomes even easier to be cheap because now you have a bigger pot that you can play with. Not to mention the fact that when you're here, you can drive a nicer car, you can own a nicer home, you can wear nicer clothes, you can go on better vacations while still being cheap than you can here, even though you're still the same level of cheap. The issue is too many people put all of their emphasis right here. How can you make this part of the pie bigger? Instead of saving 25%, how can you save 30% or 35%? Instead of trying to figure out how can you actually grow the pie? Because if you can grow the pie, you can live off of the same size chunk but live a much bigger life. The whole point of being cheap and living below your means should not just be to save all of your cash. I mean, you do need to save some cash so you protect yourself from emergencies, but the real reason why you need to be living below your means is so you can grow the pie bigger. This could mean investing your money more aggressively. That way you can get more passive income. That way you can build your wealth. This could mean investing your money into other businesses that you know is a little bit riskier, but you can get a better return. That way you can make more money. Or this could mean investing your money in yourself. Maybe it's a side hustle. Maybe it's your own business. That way you can create more income. That way you can have a bigger pie. That way now when you're cheap, we're talking much bigger numbers so you don't actually feel like you're being cheap. It's all a balance and you need to understand why you're living below your means. It is very important to live below your means, but you need to know why, okay? You are living below your means. That way you have savings to protect you and so you can use your cash to expand your means, because now the goal isn't just to live smaller, the goal is to live bigger by living smaller, to use your money strategically. That way you can live bigger and expand your means. If you really want to become wealthy and have millions of dollars to your name when you're young, then there's really one concept that you have to understand. Now, most of the time when we talk about investing your money in your 20s to become wealthy in your 30s or 40s, the thing that we're talking about is investing your money for the long term, having time on your side, compounding your profits. But that's not what I want to talk about in this video. Now, these things are important. Having time for your money to grow and letting your money compound is one of the most powerful tools to let your money grow and compound, to build wealth passively. But if you want to build wealth sooner and not just wait for your money to compound and grow, there's something different that you have to understand. When I was in college, I understood that eventually I wasn't going to be in college anymore. And when I wasn't in college, I was going to hit this real world thing where now I would have pressure on me to make money. Because when you're in college, you don't really have the same pressure of making money and supporting yourself and a family because you're in college. But once you're done with college, now all eyes are on you. You got to get a job, you got to start paying your bills, and you have to be able to support yourself financially. And so I started to understand that buffer back when I was in college, and that's when I started to ask myself a couple questions. What do I want to do in my life? What do I want to achieve? And what am I willing to risk to make that happen? When I was in college, I started a few businesses, and that's when I learned that I don't have it in me to work for somebody else. Some people do, but it wasn't for me. I have this entrepreneur bug where I can't follow somebody else's guidance. I can't follow someone else's directions. I cannot work for somebody else. I had to work for me. Now, I knew that, and I was a very hard worker, but I just didn't know how to put the pieces together. How can I now create something where now I'm building a business, where I'm leading the charge, but I don't know what to do? If you're in your 20s right now, you got to understand that you're young and you have time to recover from financial setbacks, which means you have the ability to take risk. I had to start and build a handful of different businesses before I really understood what it took to scale a business. Some of these businesses completely failed. Some of them made me a lot of money, but then it also took me a lot of time to understand how to invest my money, which meant there was times where I lost money. The real upsides that you have in life financially all come with risk. Now, the reason why most people will never be able to achieve the real wealth that they dream of is because they're not willing to take that risk. They always think, oh, what happens if I quit my job? Then how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to feed my family? How am I going to continue on with my life? If I take this risk and invest my money, what happens if it doesn't work out? If I take this risk, what happens if I fail? How am I going to go back to my husband or my wife? How am I going to tell my kids that I failed? How am I going to live with myself if I take a risk and it doesn't work out for me? But when you're young, one of the biggest advantages that you have on your side is time, because you have time to recover from your risk and your failures. And that is one thing that you can never get back. When I was finishing law school, about to enter the real world, I knew my cushion was about to go away because I wasn't going to be in school anymore. And now I had to rely on myself to take care of myself, because through law school, I went to all the classes, I did good in school, but I didn't go out of my way to learn how to be an attorney. I didn't go to all the internships. I didn't go network with all the judges. I didn't go meet all the business owners. I was building my own business. And so towards the end of my law school career, that's when it started to hit me. Oh my God, I'm about to graduate and I'm about to be on my own and I'm going to be running my own business, and now I'm going to have to be able to support myself, and I have no other cushion. This is it. Now, I was fortunate where I started businesses years before I even started law school. And so by the time I got to the end of law school, I was already making pretty decent money. My business was doing pretty good. I was making at least 6 figures a year, and I had a few real estate investments. But the issue was, now I was losing all the fallback cushion that I had. Now it was all me. But the advantage was, now I had more time to work on my business. But it was still stressful. I had a lot of anxiety. I was struggling sleeping at night because I kept thinking, what happens if my business doesn't work out? What happens if I screw something up? What happens if I fail? I'm not going to be able to go back and get a job as an attorney. One, because I'm not going to know what to do. And second, because I don't want to do that. So what is my backup? Because when you're taking all these risks and you're starting your own business and you're going for it all, there is no plan B, because if you fail, now you got to start all over again. But the thing that I kept telling myself is, hey, if 2 years go by and you completely fail and nothing is working for you and you have no money, you can still turn things around. You can still go and get a job. You can still go learn and figure out how to become an attorney. Maybe go get a free internship and start working somewhere. I mean, it's going to be harder, but it's still possible. So if things fail, I still have time to fix things. When you're not married and you don't have any kids, you don't got a lot of responsibilities. This is your time to take as many risks as possible. That means starting dumb business ideas, because one of these dumb business ideas might actually pan out into a good business idea, and that means taking investment risks, investing into things that you think could potentially grow a whole lot bigger in the future. You don't have to play it completely safe when you're young. Yeah, you can have some of your safer investments, you can invest in the ETFs, you can do some of that, but you should also be taking risk, because this is your time to take risk. It kills me when I see a young dude out of college, a 20-something, driving around in a nice BMW that they're financing, working a job that they may or may not hate, where they're making an average salary, and then they talk about these big dreams of how they want to become successful and become so rich. But the reality is your actions have to match your goals, because right now you are throwing your money away on these liabilities that are not doing anything for you. This is the time that you have to take risks. Get rid of all these liabilities. Get rid of the fancy car. Get rid of the brand name stuff for a little while and invest this money in you. If you have a business idea, go for it. If you want to make an investment, go for it. This is your time to do something. Look, I don't say any of this to brag. I'm saying this to get a point across, because you're not going to get any younger and your responsibilities are only going to grow as you get older. So this is the time to take risks. The first time I made 6 figures, I was in school and I was driving around in a beat up car probably worth $500. The first time my business made $1 million in a year, I was still in my 20s and I was still driving that beat up car worth $500, because I wanted to invest everything I had back into myself, because this was my time to really build, grow, and take risks. It's tough because when you're in your 20s, you want to flex and you want to enjoy your youth, right? You want to go to the club, you want to drive the nice car, you want to go to the parties, and you want to go on the nice vacations, show off all your friends, show your cool life off on Instagram. But the reality is you got to figure out what you really want. You got to figure out if your goals are aligning with your actions, because a lot of people have goals way up here, but their actions are way down here. They say they want to have all these nice things. They say that they want to become wealthy, but their actions show something completely different. Their actions show them blowing money. Their actions show them just blowing their time. Their actions show them not doing anything to actually take them to their goals. Taking that first step is hard, because most of us aren't told how to take risks. Most of us aren't told how to manage risks, because we're always told that if you make a mistake, it's wrong. Messing up is wrong because you messed up, you screwed up. But the reality is that's how you learn. I screwed up in so many business ideas. I've been scammed, I've been sued, I've been screwed over, but these are the things that got me to where I am today. I mean, the reason why I started Minority Mindset was because I got scammed and screwed over in another business that I was starting. So I started making videos teaching people how to start a business without getting screwed over. Now, this doesn't mean that you shouldn't invest in any of your traditional investments. This doesn't mean that you shouldn't be investing in ETFs. This doesn't mean that you shouldn't be be investing in real estate, this doesn't mean that you shouldn't be doing any of that. These are good long-term investments that will help you build wealth over the long term. These are things that you always want to be doing because this is what will build you that long-term consistent wealth. But if you want to get there faster and you want to have more money going into your investments, your passive investments, you need to have more income coming in. And if you really want to have more income coming in, you need to do something that will allow you to have more income, which means you're going to have to take more risk. And the best time to take that risk is now, especially when you're young, because life is just going to get busier, you're going to get more responsibilities, you're going to have more financial commitments, and it's going to get harder for you to do that. Doesn't mean it's impossible, but it will never get easier. Which means if you want to do something, this is the best time to do it. Take that risk today. The best decision I ever made was not listening to anybody else's advice because everybody told me I was dumb. Everybody told me that I should have become a doctor, and when I didn't become a doctor, that I was dumb. Then when I went to law school, everybody told me that I should have focused harder in my classes. Everyone told me I should have got good internships. Everyone told me that I should have gone and worked for a good attorney after I graduated, but I didn't listen because I wanted something different. I didn't listen to everyone around me, and it was hard because everybody kept telling me how dumb I was. But I knew I wanted something different. I wanted something that most people could not understand. I wanted something that the majority of people could not see. And that requires you to not go out and take a risk because now you're going against the whole world. Nobody understands what you're doing. Nobody understands why you're doing it, and nobody can see the vision that you have. Nobody can see the dreams and goals that you have. But if you want to achieve these dreams, goals, you want to have that financial success, you got to be willing to go out and do something. And most people are not going to understand it. So now you got to be the person to not only go and take the risk, but now you also have to take that criticism from everybody else around you. But that's what's going to help you build that tough skin. That way you can achieve whatever it is that you want. That means you have to be willing to take a risk. If you have a business idea, this is the time to go after it. If you see an investment opportunity and you believe in it, go after it. So what if you lose money? Money will come back, but your time will not. And so you have to be willing to take risks. Now, this doesn't mean do stupid things. Do things that are calculated. Do things that you actually believe in. Do things that have potential for opportunities. And that also means learn. Learn from people that are doing whatever it is that you want to do. You know, back when I was starting my first businesses, YouTube wasn't very popular, especially for people that were entrepreneurs or looking to get financial education. You didn't have this type of stuff on YouTube. So I was reading books. I hated reading when I was growing up. English was my second language. I never read a book until I found a money management book. The first book I ever read was Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. After I read that, I read book after book after book talking about investing your money, money management, building a business, marketing, because these were things that I had never been exposed to before. I went through years of school, but nothing that I went to school for taught me how to actually make money, or how to manage my money, or how to grow my money. These were things I had to learn on my own, not just through books, but by doing it myself. That's why I'm so passionate about the minority mindset, because I was doing everything right. I had checked all the boxes. I was busting my butt trying to do everything so I could become successful. But I didn't realize that if I really wanted to become financially successful, there was a different type of education that I needed. If you want to know how to invest your money into ETFs and real estate, that way you have this consistent income coming in when you get older, that's fine. But we have other videos on our YouTube channel talking about that, which is why if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do that. But what I'm talking about today is if you really want to become wealthy and you want to do it sooner, you need to invest in yourself. And the earlier you do that, the better, because now you have time on your side. You have time to make mistakes. You have time to recover from your mistakes, and you have time to go out and actually take action on whatever it is you're doing. Time is gonna pass no matter what, whether you do something or whether you don't do anything. Time is gonna keep going on. A year from today, you are gonna be a year older, no matter what. But now the question that you have to ask yourself is, where do you wanna be a year from now? Do you wanna be in the same position you are today, or do you wanna be somewhere else? If you want to be somewhere else, then you have to take action. It takes time. It's hard. You're not going to know everything, and you're going to make mistakes, but that's the only way that you're going to learn. And if you're not willing to take those risks, then you're not going to go anywhere, because the more you wait, the more responsibilities that are going to come your way, the less opportunity you're going to have to take those risks, and the harder it's going to be for you to break away from the system, because now you're going to get trapped in the cycle. You have to go to work. You have to invest in your 401k. You have to pay for your kids' college fund. You have to pay for your spouse's vacation. And as you do that now, you get scared. You get scared of leaving your job. You're scared what happens if you take that risk and things don't work out. You're scared that, hey, what if it takes me 2 years before I start making decent money? What if I can't go and get another job? What if the economy fails when I'm starting this business? What if the sky falls? Or what if you don't get enough sleep to go to work the next day? But if you don't have all those responsibilities around you, it's a lot easier for you to go out and take those risks, which is why if you're younger, it's a lot easier for you to go out and do it. Now, if you're older, that doesn't mean it's impossible. It's going to mean it's a little bit harder, but it is possible if you're willing to put in the work. Remember, you got to have what your goals are and need to make sure that your actions are aligning with your goals. It's hard to say just money management because it's a mindset. If you have the right mindset, nothing will stop you. And if you have the right mindset, you will find a way to manage your money. If you have the right mindset, you will find a way to work hard. If you have the right mindset, you will find something to do. You'll find a way to invest because you have the right mindset. If you don't have the right mindset, everything's going to stop you.